History, flipped classroom, ancient Egypt. Let's take a closer look at this extraordinary civilization that really has so much to tell us. And here they are, the ancient Egyptians, said in present-day Egypt, developing an evolved kingdom and civilization between 300 BC and 30 BC. In the study of Egyptian civilization, it is appropriate to divide the analysis into 4 parts. 1. Unification of the kingdom, 3100 BC. 2. Old Kingdom of Egypt, 2700 BC to 160 BC. 3. Middle Kingdom of Egypt, 2055 BC, 1790 BC. 4. New Kingdom of Egypt, 1530 BC, 1080 BC. The civilization developed near the Nile River, which, thanks to periodic flooding and precious silt, ensured the fertility of the land, which created a veritable 1,200-kilometer-long oasis. And you see, farmers work the land. Floods of the Nile release silt, which has sediment with great fertilizing power, and because of it, crops are plentiful. Next to the banks of the Nile, in fact, there are many cultivated lands. Let's take a closer look at the period of the unification of the kingdoms, as mentioned above, in 3100 BC. The ancient kingdom was born thanks to the unification of the 2 existing kingdoms, Lower Egypt to the north and Upper Egypt to the south. Unifying the 2 kingdoms was, according to tradition, the ruler Menes. The next period, on the other hand, as we have seen before, is called the Old Kingdom, 2700 BC. 2600 BC. The ancient kingdom precisely ranges from this period, 2700, 2160 BC. The capital of the ancient kingdom was Thinis. In the ancient kingdom and ancient Egypt, the ruler was called Pharaoh and was considered a deity. Questions and answers. What Pharaoh means? BBG House referred to the palace where he resided. Why is it called the Nile Delta? Is the mouth of the Nile, which is triangular in shape, like the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet.
What are the 6 cataracts?
These are points where the Nile is shallow and therefore not navigable. Also, in the ancient kingdom, the pharaoh concentrated all political and religious powers on himself. It was a period of splendor for Egypt, during which the great pyramids of Giza were built. And here they are. They are called the Pyramid of Cheops, which is the largest pyramid of Chephren, Pyramid of Mycerinus, and here is precisely the monumental complex of Giza, in which during the ancient kingdom 3 great pharaohs, Cheops and Chephren and Mycerinus, had these great burial grounds built to manifest the power of the pharaohs. Although these 3 are the best known, it should be mentioned that the first pyramid that was built was the Pyramid of Saqqara, of Pharaoh Djoser, but unlike these, it was made in steps. The tallest is the Pyramid of Cheops, which is also one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the only one that has survived intact to the present day. Another among the main monuments in Giza is the Great Sphinx, a large statue with the body of an animal and the head of Chephren, which was built by the ancient Egyptians in a precise position, as if it had been placed to guard the Pyramid of Chephren, which held the sarcophagus of the great pharaoh of the Old Kingdom. Middle Kingdom, 3rd period 2055 BC, Precessions 90 BC. In 2160 BC, the ancient kingdom comes into crisis because of the growing power of high officials. There was a period of instability until 2055 BC, when ancient Egypt entered a new period, the Middle Kingdom, which was a time of great prosperity. And finally, the New Kingdom, 1530 BC. Between 1790 BC and 1530 BC. There was a second intermediate period in which Egypt was invaded by peoples from Asia, the Ios, who ruled Egypt peacefully and introduced several innovations, such as the cultivation of olives and the use of horses in war chariots. In 1530 BC begins the New Kingdom, considered the heyday of Egyptian civilization. New religious rituals developed in the New Kingdom and were practiced in the necropolis, bracketed city of the dead. Among the new cults was that of Aten, in which the existence of a single god was affirmed as opposed to the previous polytheistic view. The Egyptians practiced mummification for the burial of corpses. One of their largest necropolis is the Valley of the Kings. Several pharaohs who entered history lived during the New Kingdom period, including Tutankhamun, Shaf, and Ramses II. New Kingdom, 1530 BC. Shanichsen BC. The New Kingdom also coincides, as we mentioned earlier, with the period of maximum expansion and maximum splendor of Egyptian civilization. In 1274 BC, Ramesses II confronted the Kadesh Hittites to try to end a threatened invasion. The battle between the two greatest powers of the time ended in a draw. The tensions ended with a peace treaty. The last military exploits were the victories of Ramesses II against the Sea Peoples. Then began a slow decline, in which the Egyptians were dominated by the Assyrians, Persians, and Alexander the Great. The last ruler was Cleopatra until 30 BC. The conquest of the Romans ended Egyptian civilization. Society was divided into social classes, where at the first place was the pharaoh, and at the last place the slaves, and among them scribes, officials, and soldiers. Farmers did hard and strenuous work and cultivated Pharaoh's land. The main products were grains, flax, and olive plants. Thanks to the papyrus plant, the Egyptians made sheets in which they painted or wrote, as did the scribes. Soldiers protected missions and caravans from attacks by nomadic tribes. Their function primarily defensive. On rare occasions, the Egyptians embarked on campaigns of conquest. The priest became very important over the centuries. They performed rites during the sopatura of the mummies and were very wealthy and came into conflict with the pharaoh several times. For the Egyptians, life continued even after death. Hieroglyphics was the writing adopted by the Egyptians, made up of symbols and figures, and the gods worshipped were among others Anobi Apis and Haus, who had the head of a hawk. And with that is all. I hope you enjoyed my multimedia content. See you soon from Flipped Prof.